Hello everyone. So today we will look at the concept of modal verbs or modal verben in German, modal verben, and we will see how they are used in a sentence, how they are different from the normal verbs and what role they play. And we will start with some English example and see the comparison with some German example so we can relate how they are being used. So for example, let's look at a sentence. For example, ich I cook, right? And in German it will be ich koche, right? So kochen is the word which means to cook, and then that defines our German sentence. So in the structure of the sentence for both English and German, we have a subject, and then plus we have a verb, and this verb is the main verb, right? Similarly, in German we have a subject, and then we have the verb, which is also the main verb. And here the main verb means it defines the main activity, what is going on. So ich koche, I cook, or here is the English one. Now suppose we want to express this activity in a different way. For example, in English we say I want to cook, I have to cook, right? And I would like to cook, right? This kind of sentences. So for example, let's say we have I want to cook. Right? And then again we look at the structure of the sentence. So we have the subject, and we have the verb at the end, which is our main verb also, and this defines what is going on in the sentence, like what is the activity, main activity. But we also have this want to, right? And then this want is acting as a helping verb, and this part is called modal modal in German, and sorry, in English. And in German also we have the same thing. So let's translate this in German. So ich will kochen, right? So in the similar way, look at the structure. We have the subject ich, and then we have the main verb, and then along with that we have a will, which is modal verb. So this is in the German, it is not the English will. So it's a German modal verb, and we will come to it later which one it is. But this is also acting as a helping verb. So we have ich will kochen, I want to cook, right? So the first difference you will see is that we have an additional verb. So you already know that in a normal sentence the main verb is always on the second position, and here the main verb has gone at the end, and the modal verb is now at the second position, right? So this we will remember. So in the original sentence in German, or the main sentence, for example, ich koche, suppose we add an object here, essen, I cook the food, right? So we have subject, we have the verb, and this verb is at the second position, right? And then we have the object, right? So now if I write it with the modal verb, then it will be the above sentence: ich will essen kochen, I want to cook food, right? And then I can see we have the subject here, and then we have the main verb here at the end, right? And then we have the modal verb, now that is at the second position, right? And then we have the object in between. So what happens when you use a modal verb? You have the modal verb at the second position, and this will be conjugated. Usually in the first we conjugated the kochen verb, right, according to the subject. Here we will conjugate the modal verb according to the subject, and it will be at the second position. and your main verb will go to the end, right? So it will go at the end of the sentence. So this is the structure when you use a modal verb, right? And then this helps you to express some feeling that I want to cook, or like I have to cook, right? And this sentence will use another kind of modal verb, or I may cook the food, so that's another modal verb. So this kind of sentences we can use doing modal verbs, right? So now, like, let's look at the modal verbs in German. So we have in total six modal verbs, right? And they all have different meanings. Let's start with the meaning and what they are, and then we will look at their conjugation depending upon the subject, right? For different personal pronoun. So first is we have müssen. Müssen is in English must, you know. And then können is can in English, dürfen, may, or you can say allowed to, and then wollen is want to, and then sollen is should, and then we have möchten would like to. And these are all modal verbs from müssen till möchten in present tense, right? So they are in presence. We can also have them in the past tense, preteritum, but there the conjugation would be different, and then we have to look at how they are conjugated, but the rules remains the same, right? So they are in the sentence at the second position, and the main verb comes at the end, right? So now let's look at the conjugation. So if you remember, for the main normal regular verbs, for example, let's take the previous verb kochen. If I want to conjugate this, how it will happen? So I will take the stem part of the verb, which is cock, and then I will remove the en. I don't need this, and I will conjugate the cock depending upon the personal pronoun of the subject. So ish, then it will be cocker, du cockst, er sie es kocht, wir kochen, ihr kocht, and then we have z and capital Z kochen. So just to give you a reminder, the conjugations are: you add an e for ish koche, st kochst, er sie es kocht, wir kochen, and then we ear cocked, you add an t here, and zizi kochen, right? So for modal verbs, everything is same for wir, ear, and z, right? We follow the similar conjugation rule, right? For ear, z, for example, we have müssen. So I will take the stem word muse, and then I have added t for ear, en for wir, and en for zz. So here müssen, mused, then müssen again, and this is true for all the modal verbs, right? But then we have special cases for when you do the conjugation for ish, do, and er, sie, es. For example, for müssen, we have the stem muse, right? So we have the stem muse, and then for the stem form, you remove the umlaut from the top, and then you will have stem form mus, and then it nothing will be done for ish. So ish mus, and then you add in t for most, and then ARZS mus. So one easy part is for ish and ARZS, we have the same verb. So most for ish and ARZS. For example, in können, you will have khan and khan for ARZS. So these are similar for ARZS and ish, right? And then you have this irregular kind of conjugation going on. So let's look at them. So you might have to memorize a little bit, but once you know the table by heart, then it's easy. So let's see, we have ish mus, du musst, er sie es muss, wir müssen. So from here it will follow the original rule: müssen, müsst, müssen again for zizi. Now let's look at können, can, ish kann, du kannst, er sie es kann, Then wir können, ihr könnt, sie können. So from here is the original rule again, right? And so on. So we have these dürfen, wollen, sollen, möchten, and they all mean different, but these are the conjugation, and you can look at the table and save it for later or make notes of it. So what you have to remember, the most important thing is the sentence structure with them, which is subject, then modal verb, then the information in the sentence, and then maybe object, and then we have the main verb at the end, right? So this is the sentence structure, right? Then the modal verb is being conjugated and the main verb stays in infinitive form, right? And then modal verb is always at the second position, and then main verb comes at the end, right? So this is the sentence structure when using the modal verb. So now let's look at some examples. So here we will do some examples with the modal verb können. So for easiness, let's do the conjugation first of this verb, and then we will do these sentences. So we have ich, du, er, sie, es, wir, ihr, and sie, right? So now, as I told you that for wir, from wir to ear and zz, the conjugation is for the original form, right? So original form, stem form is kyon, and then en we remove it, so and we conjugate the stem form, so it will be kyonen, kyont, and then kyonen, because for zz we add an en, for ear we add a t, and wear we add an en. Now ish, du, er, zi, es are special, but you know that for ish and ASGS it will be the same. So for Kyonan we have Khan, and then again Khan, and then to this one we add Khan's ST. So usually you, if you already know this one, you can add ST to this guy, right? So a easier trick is if you just remember this first part, and then this is the same anyhow, and then you have added a st to the stem of ish or s1, right? So this is the conjugation. Let's do the sentence here. So we have a conversation between Juliana, Anika, and their mother. So ish feel besser schwimmen als du. So ish, for ish it will be Khan. Ich kann viel besser schwimmen als du. Und du vielleicht besser schwimmen, aber ich besser Fußball spielen. So for du, it will be du kannst vielleicht besser schwimmen, aber ich kann besser Fußball spielen. Then mom says, Mutter, hoffentlich ihr beide gut Englisch, Mathematik und Deutsch. For ihr, es könnt. Then Juliane und Annika, wir dash sehr gut Englisch und Deutsch und Mathematik, und Juliana dash viel besser Computer spielen als du. So wir können sehr gut Englisch und Deutsch und Mathematik, und Juliana, so she has a sie, so sie, we will have Juliana kann viel besser Computer spielen, und die Kinder, that's plural, right? So for plural we have they, and they will be können. So die Kinder können schneller laufen, besser tanzen, besser lernen, länger schlafen, right? And that's all of it. Now some concept we learn. So we have, see, we have the verb at the second position, and then the sentence ends here with a comma, and then we have the main verb at the last position, right? In the same way we have this können, but so here you can add machen. Wir können sehr gut English und Deutsch und Mathematik machen, right? But also without machen it can go können, right? And then if you want to do, you can also practice some other sentences with other verbs, but that is all for the modal verbs. So if you have any questions, you can comment. If you you can also pause it and then do the exercise on your own. But yeah, and then you can give the suggestion if you want to know about any other concept related to modal verbs. Till then, bye bye.